Hey guys, I am back with another video, and today I'm going to be talking about did the DCU start off well? But before we get started, guys, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. All right, so 2025 is near to the end. The and 2026 is coming up. And in 2025, we had a total, I believe, of two projects. I think in 2024 is when Creature of Commando started. Um, but then it kind of ended with like the final like two episodes in 2025. So if you want to count Creature of Commandos being in 2025, go ahead. Um, but yeah, we had a total of three projects. First project was Creature of Commandos. Second project was Superman, and third project was Peacemaker. So starting off with Creature of Commandos, and it was received well. The Rotten Tomato score, I believe it was around in the 90s, which is really good. Now, a lot of people believe, Rotten Tomatoes is false, is a lie, it's not accurate. It's just, I believe, people believe that, oh, it's paid shills just trying to hype up James Gunn's new DCU. Um, I am not denying that. I am not saying I again, I believe it's just normal people giving their feedback on if the show was good or not. Now, the whole pay James Gunn shield just getting good receptions. I don't know. I enjoyed the show, and a lot of other people did too. I've heard a lot of other people who is not a part of James Gunn, or some people who have never heard of James Gunn said that Creature of Commandos was a good show. So it's not always just paid shilling for James Gunn. It could just be normal people just saying, "Hey, I liked this show. Let me give my feedback and tell Rotten Tomatoes I liked this show." But again, you could just believe what you want to believe. It could be that I don't know, but going at it, yeah, Creature Commandos, the Rotten Tomato was like a 90%. Superman, I believe the Rotten Tomato was a 83. No, yeah, I think it was like around a 83 in critics and around a 92 in audience. It is around 92 or somewhere around that. And then Peacemaker, now that it had like at the beginning like 100%, but I think it was only 100% just because it was only a small group of people. It was like only like around 30 people watched the show, and that's why it kind of had 100% in Rotten Tomato. But I think around that right now it has around like a 90. Um, I believe it went down a little bit after the final episode, just because people were disappointed. But I'm gonna get to that later. Um, but starting off with Creature of Commandos, again, it was received well. People did enjoy the show. That's good. Now, Creature of Commandos was a little bit of a small show. It wasn't as big as Peacemaker. It I would say this one thing I don't like what James Gunn did with Creature of Commandos and the DCU entirely is that he started off with Creature of Commandos. Creature of Commandos was kind of more of a small show that people didn't really heard of. Um, it was Creature of Commandos not really a popular show. It's a good show, but it's not really popular. Now, I know the reason why James Gunn started it off with the show. He started it off because he wanted to show people, hey, well, no, he started off with to really build his DCU up. Now, you could have done that with Superman, but he really kind of wanted to build it up, whereas like you have time to build it up, and you want to build up each single kind of character. Like in Creature Commando, spoiler if you haven't watched the show, Batman, he made a cameo with Doctor Phosphorus and telling his story while introducing Batman in Gotham City and the crime in Gotham City. So that's what Creature of Commandos kind of did. It was kind of building up the DCU in a way of like building up each kind of character, city, all of that. It was really kind of introducing little parts of the DCU. So I will admit though, I don't think that I think Creature of Commandos could have, you know, they could have did Creature of Commandos after Superman. They didn't have to do it beforehand. They could have done all of that, introduced the DCU and like small little bits after Superman. Like, cause James Gunn said it himself that Superman was his biggest is like the big one in the announcement when he like made the first announcement. He literally came on and said that, "Hey, Superman, that's gonna be our biggest project for like 2025." So if that was gonna be your biggest project, you will want to do that first. You don't want to like do a totally different show that people really don't know about and do that before your big movie, your big introduction to the DCU. So again, I'm Creature Commandos. The quality of the show is good. It's received well. I enjoyed the show. I enjoyed each episode. I liked how each episode was focusing on different characters because I don't think Creature Commandos needed to set up something. I don't think Creature Commandos I think for a first season and for a new universe, it does not need to start off with something big. And I was like hearing complaints of people saying, "Oh, they wish that each episode wasn't focusing on different characters." Me personally, I think it should have because for a first season, you don't need to focus on something big. It's like this is a new universe. This is your first project. Just how about we just introduce these characters to show these characters and a little bit introduce this DCU first. We don't have to set up anything big. So I did like that Creature Commandos did that. And again, Creature Commandos, it was received well, even though it is like a small show. Creature Commandos, again, one problem I have with it is that they started it off with it. It's not a big show. It's not a really a memorable show. But I like the visuals of Creature of Commandos, but I would say this again, it's a smaller show. I kind of a little bit disagree on why they kind of um started with Creature of Commandos. I thought they should have started off with Superman. But again, Creature Commandos was a good show. It's streamed on HBO Max. I'm hearing these reports saying that Creature of Commandos is like on YouTube and it's free. And like, now you hear people saying, "Oh, the DCU or DC Studios or Netflix or WB doesn't have trust in Creature Commandos, James Gunn, all that." I was looking all over YouTube. I couldn't find it. I don't know if this report is true because I've been hearing people saying it's not true. It may be, but um, I don't know. But I don't think James Gunn and all of them. I don't think they lost confidence in Creature Commandos or the DCU. But again, Creature Commandos is a small show to start off a new universe. So yeah, that's what we started off with. It had great visuals. It was a good show. I would rate it an 8 out of 10. Um, it was a good show. So next up we have Superman. Now, this is where it gets a little big. Superman is really the big start to the DCU. Most people will say, "Oh, what's the start?" Like if you ask a question, what was the start of the DCU? Most people will say Superman. Even though Creature Commandos was the first show, Superman was that movie where it's like it has to do well. Um, and also, again, you're introducing Superman, you're introducing Metropolis, you're introducing Mr. Terrific, all these other characters. It's a big project. James Gunn even said it himself. Um, so yeah, Superman, it was a big project. I remember when people kept saying, "Oh, if Superman flops, that's it's the end for the DCU." Um, so again, so going to Rotten Tomatoes, Superman again had I believe, a 80% for critics and around a 90% with audience, which is good. Um, that means not the show, the movie is a great movie, is received well with audience, and is received well with critics. So the quality of Superman sounds well. It sounds good enough for the DCU to thrive and all that. Now again, going to Rotten Tomatoes, a lot of people don't believe it. I a little bit don't either. Some of the stuff I see on Rotten Tomatoes kind of felt like, is that even right? But again, Rotten Tomatoes, it gives data from the audience, it gives information from the audience, and the audience say, "Hey, I like the movie. Let me get my feedback on it." That's what Rotten Tomatoes kind of does. Now, again, a lot of people believe, or some people believe, that there are paid shills out there who work for DC Studios or James Gunn, and they get paid, and they have to say good stuff about the movie. I don't really believe that, again, because there's really no evidence to that. Just people just randomly believe that. I don't know, but I For now, I trust Rotten Tomatoes. I hope it's right, but I believe it's true for Superman just because I love the film. I thought the film was great. I thought it was an emotional film. I thought the film had a lot of impact on a lot of people. Um, Again, it was a great start to the DCU with quality. Um, and I thought again the visuals, all that. Superman did well with, I would say, for quality wise, it did well. It did good. It did great. I would say. I don't want to say it did well. I think it did great. Um, so yeah, Superman. It was a great film. Had a lot of impact on a lot of people, and I love it. So I would say so. Superman, so all we're hearing for Superman is that, it's been winning awards. Superman won a award for best comic, I would say best comic book kind of accurate movie. It won an award for that. A lot of people believe, oh, Fantastic Four should have won it. I would say I agree and disagree. I think both movies are very comic accurate. I think Fantastic Four is a very comic accurate film. In my opinion, Fantastic Four has to be the most comic accurate MCU film right now, just because it's so comic accurate. The city itself, everything. But this is not a Fantastic Four video. This is a DCU video. But just going into it, I think Fantastic Four probably should have probably also won an award for probably best comic accuracy. But Superman won an award for best comic accuracy, and it is confirmed. It was confirmed by James Gunn. So I would say for right now, that means that Superman was probably the best comic book film this year, which is a great start to the DCU. Um, and, again, it was received well by audience and critics. It won an award. I believe it actually got an Oscar shortlist. Like Superman was on it. I believe Sinners was on it. A lot of movies were on is like on the whole Oscar shortlist. But one of the movies included is Superman. So yeah, Superman has been winning awards. It was nominated for really best visuals. Um, yeah, no, I think it was like best kind of song or music, best score. I mean, um, it won an award for something else entirely. I think it was best visuals. But yeah, it won an award for best score and best visuals. So that's a great start. Now it didn't win an award. It was nominated. Um, but yeah, I don't know if it'll win it. I don't think it will, but at least it was nominated. So going into box office numbers, this is where things get a little bit so Superman, the budget of the film was 225 mil, and it made a total of 615 mil overall in the global wide box office. So it made 399 more than its budget. I believe that's where it is right now. So it made over his budget. It's not a flop. I don't know why I keep hearing people say, "Oh, Superbad is a flop." It's not a flop. It made over its budget. Oh, it lost 42 bill in the box office. I keep hearing that. I think that whole thing came from Variety. Variety is I would say a yes and no kind of source. So, and also they made a prediction. They made a prediction of the marketing numbers. We don't know the marketing number. People keep saying that the marketing for Superman is 125 mil. Do we know that for sure? We don't. Variety literally said that the marketing for Superman is a prediction. They don't know for sure. So the whole 42 mil or losing 42 mil is a prediction. There's no really yes. It's correct. It's official. No. Because one, WB, James Gunn, never came out and said that Superman lost 42 mil in the box office. So the whole 42 mil, losing 42 mil is a prediction. They don't really actually know for sure. Sorry. So the whole 42 mil, that's a prediction, is not really true. I would say it's a prediction because we don't know the marketing numbers. I mean, we got the budget wrong for Supergirl. because people kept saying the budget for Supergirl is like 200 around where Superman is. James Gunn came out and said that that is false. The budget for Supergirl is now around 200 and something. It's probably less than that. So the whole budget thing or the marketing thing, that's probably all wrong. Because again, James Gunn never came out and said what the marketing numbers for Superman was. So I would say the whole 42 mil is a prediction, is not official, it is not for sure. So yeah, Superman was not a flop. It earned 399 mil. The worldwide box office was a total of 600 and again 15 mil. And people keep saying, "Oh, Man of Steel 600, it has 670." That doesn't really matter with the film. Um, so yeah, Superman was not a flop. It was a success because it made more than its budget. So, yeah, Superman, it wasn't a flop. I believe the profit, it made over 100 million in profit, which is a huge success. It I believe it got in 3rd place for domestically. I believe it did. It got 3rd place for domestically for something. But yeah, Superman did great with for domestic numbers. It just didn't do good for um international. Um, that could be a lot of things because again, comic book films are just not as popular around the world like they used to be. So that is again, it's possible that people just don't care about comic book movies as they used to in like 2013 and 2009 and 2010, all of that. Comic book movies are not as popular as they used to be. So there is a reason why that's probably one of the reasons why Superman did not do as good as it should have internationally. But yeah, it did poorly internationally, but it did great domestically and it did great in the worldwide box office. So yeah, Superman did great for box office wise. It got nominated for awards. It won one award for best comic book, best comic book looking, I believe. Um, and yeah, Superman was a great first start for it was a great first start for DCU movies. It did great, and yeah. So moving on to Peacemaker. So Peacemaker, this show started off well. It had 100% in Rotten Tomato. It was received well by audience and critics. And yeah, Peacemaker overall it was a good show. Um, And yeah, some people didn't like the first episode for reasons that I can't talk about. But yeah, the show it started off well. It was received well, but then here's when it kind of I would say not flopped. I would say I think people would say yes, Peacemaker kind of did flop. Um, and just because the numbers kind of dropped for people watching the show. People didn't quite enjoy the last, I would say 2 episodes. Episode 7 was an episode that was surprising and just like, "Oh, wow," that sparked people's interest. But I think episode 2 and 8 kinda not episode 2, episode 7 and 8, I think those were the episodes where it kinda let down. Um because James Gunn was hyping the show. He was saying all this stuff, saying, "Oh, the show, it will like introduce Man of Tomorrow. It will have big things. It will do all this cool stuff." Yet when the episode 8 comes out, it does really nothing. Yes, it does. I would say one thing about Peacemaker, it sets up Man of Tomorrow pretty well, but it just the hype wasn't really there. Um because James Gunn, again, he was hyping everything up, but yet it just didn't happen. Nothing really happened. Spoiler alert if you don't want to know what happened, but Peacemaker, he goes to Planet Salvation. He's stuck there. Who knows what will happen to him? We may find out in Man of Tomorrow. But yeah, that's really it. Like people expected Brainiac to show up. He did not show up. Um, so I would say probably the reason why probably the show dropped massively is because James Gunn was hyping up the show and nothing really happened. And people just kind of was like didn't care about the show anymore. So I would say the quality of the show is good. It's just that James Gunn, the last 2 episodes, it was just kind of a letdown, and the hype just it was gone after those last 2 episodes. So, for shows like Peacemaker, it was received the quality of the show was good. It's just that it was kind of a flop just because how far it kind of went down with the audience. But yeah, that's kind of all the projects, Peacemaker, I mean, Creature Commandos, it did great. It just wasn't as big, and I don't think really James Gunn should have started it off with Creature of Commandos. Superman did really well. It was a success for the DCU. It was a great start for movies, for the DCU movies. Peacemaker did good at first, but it kind of went down. And yeah, so far I would say the DCU is doing good. Um, it is. And I would say for quality wise, it's doing great. Um, and I would say next year is the year where it's like, okay, what will happen? I believe next year will be a great year for DC for the DCU. I think that Lanterns will do really well. I think Lanterns will surprise us all. I think Supergirl will surprise us all, even though I know Supergirl's coming out first. I think it will surprise us all. I think the visuals will be great and all that. And I think Clayface will be the film that really shocks us. I think Clayface will be the film that actually will be like the next Joker. Now, hopefully they don't do a second one because since I'm saying this, because we all know what happened to Joker and the whole kind of sequel to like Joker, Follow Do. I don't know how to say it. And how kind of it let down. So hopefully they don't do that because they're now introducing they're starting off with a kind of villain movie. So hopefully they don't pull off a Sony and they just go with a whole villain kind of movie wise. They do another Joker movie. They do a Riddler movie. Hopefully they don't do that. Hopefully it's just Clayface. But I still believe that Clayface will shock a lot of us because James Gunn even said that you know, they were not even thinking about doing a Clayface movie. They weren't even thinking about Clayface at all. But when he turned in that script, it just it blew them away. So I think Clayface will surprise a lot of us, and I think Clayface will just blow our minds completely. And again, this is all just like I just pray this will do well. But yeah, so far I would say the DCU is doing good. Um, I would say it's not doing great. I would say there's nothing wrong. It's just that I think they need to just let go of James Gunn and let other directors go ahead and you know do their thing. But because I think that's the reason why Peacemaker kind of went down because it's just kind of the same stuff. And I think we should. I'm glad that 2026 is doing something new. Nothing really James Gunn. And people will say, "Oh, what about Supergirl?" James Gunn, he's just a producer. He didn't really mess around with Supergirl. I don't know why people are believing that. But yeah, and then we have 2027 with Man of Tomorrow and the Batman Part 2. I'm excited about Man of Tomorrow. I'm excited about the Batman Part 2. And I think that the DCU so far is doing is doing good. And I don't think anyone should be worried about the DCU. And I think right now all we could do is wait and see. So yeah, guys, that's really my thoughts on the year of 2025 and how well the DCU did. Let me know in the comments, what do you think? Do you think that the DCU started off well? Did you like all three projects that James Gunn did? And yeah, what do you guys think of the video? Guys, I appreciate it. 54 subscribers, guys. Again, I really hope to get to 60. But yeah, that's just my goal for this year. And guys, I hope you have a happy new year. See you later.